Hi everyone, it's morning where I am, so I hope you're having a good morning and a great day. I bought my Remarkable about a year ago, received it after Christmas, and while waiting for it to arrive, I fell in love with the idea of being able to customize my sleep screen image. This meant when it did arrive, in addition to learning how to use it, I was super excited about figuring out how to connect to it via SSH and then change out the sleep screen image itself. After that, I quickly looked into making custom templates and I made some blog posts to show people how to do it. That template blog post has become my most popular one. Anyway, since then, I made a bash script that I can run from my terminal that uploads any images that I want to use as a template to my Remarkable, and it generates a JSON snippet that I need to still put into the templates JSON file, but that said, it makes it so much easier. That said, I've gotten a couple emails and several comments asking me to explain different parts of my posts, so I wanted to make a video walkthrough. I had been meaning to for a while, just to combine all my posts together and show you how I do it. So to quickly go over the Remarkable, when you open your Remarkable and go into layers and go to switch out the templates, you'll see a list of all of the default templates that Remarkable has. At the top, you'll see all the categories and a general one, all. If you go to all, you see all the templates on your Remarkable. If you click on the category itself, you'll see that specific one. The Remarkable doesn't officially support any templates. When you upload it, you need to know some specific details about your template. Obviously, you'll need to upload a PNG file for your template. You'll also need to know what its name is, what its file name is, what its icon code is, what categories it's in. It can be in one or more, and if it's in landscape and portrait mode. My script takes in the structure of your folders to determine what its file name is and what its name is. It assumes all your templates are in portrait mode, so it sets the landscape boolean to false because it's not in landscape mode. It also assigns the same icon code to all the custom templates. The icon code is what you see on your Remarkable when you're scrolling through your templates. Because, like I said, custom templates aren't officially supported, there is a limited amount of icon codes, and if you're uploading a custom template, there's a high chance none of the icon codes will make sense. So, all that to say, I just set one. If you want to go into the script later and change that icon code to a different one, you can, but it just batch assigns it all. Anyway, to start, I'm going to go over how I organize my templates to upload. First, I create a folder. Let's call it My Templates. And to create it, I just right-click on my desktop. In this folder, I'll want to create any folders I want to use for my categories. In this case, I just right-click to create, but you could also do it through the terminal if you haven't used one. It might look like this. I have installed iTerm too, so the one I prefer looks like this. I've also turned on a couple things, so it might look different than your terminal. I'm going to close the default terminal, and then I'm going to use CD to change directory because folders are also called directories, and I'm changing to the desktop and then to My Templates. If you want to list everything in a directory, it's LS, but as you can see by the window, there's nothing in it yet. If you want to make a directory, it's MKDIR, and then I want to create one called custom, and I want to MKDIR make directory, one called 2021. Then within these categories, I want to add the PNGs that I'm going to be using on my Remarkable. For my custom ones, I'm just going to copy some that I had wanted to use before. Basically 3 from a PDF I got from my Balanced Life one. It's a great one at the start of the year to show your intent for the year. A little kids one all about me that I had the kids fill out on paper last year, and I'm excited to start creating a Remarkable version. And then just a weekly PDF I made through a third-party website. I will link it below. I created the custom category to hold on my custom templates. I also created a 2021 one to hold any templates specific to this year. I mentioned a Balanced Life membership. She comes out with a new calendar every year that I like to follow. So at the end of the year, I plan to export the whole years of workout calendars, and then I could delete all my 2021 templates and start a 2022 category. The reason I'm keeping the names simple and small, and the reason I'm only having two custom categories is because of the Remarkable itself. The Remarkable doesn't officially support templates. This means that they don't also have to make it easy for you to upload it or display it. The first time I made my script, I got excited about uploading so many templates to my Remarkable, and I made long descriptive names to explain what each template is, since the icon code doesn't show it. And I also made several different categories, so the category itself would help explain. When I did upload it, I was dismayed to realize that the tabs across the tab don't get smaller and don't create a second row. So whatever doesn't fit on the first row just doesn't get shown. So any templates in the hidden categories, whether it's the default category or your category, aren't shown, and you can only access them by going to the All tab. If you're uploading a lot of templates, this could be difficult to find. In addition, the names of the templates are centered under the icon code, but it doesn't look at the edge. So when I had long template names, they overlapped and looked really confusing. As such, I've decided to just limit myself to two categories, which was fine before, but since the last update, I've noticed once I added these two categories that the last default category is overlapping with the portrait radio button. So I might need to in the future go down to only one category. It depends what they do and how they lay it out. Anyway, with this, we can make our script. I don't know how you normally make a file. For me, I go back to my terminal, which is, of course, in Desktop My Templates, and I use the editor Vim. Vim is a bit difficult to go around in, so you can use whatever you want to use. To do mine, I'm going to say Vim, my script, and then end it with .sh. Whatever you call your script, and you can call it whatever you want, you need to end with .sh. And then I'm not going to write anything. I'm going to press escape, :WQ. W is for save, and Q is for quit. I'm going to press enter, and it created an empty file. If you double click it, I have Xcode installed so I can see it with line numbers, or you're probably more likely to have the text edit. Either way, you have a file, you can edit it. I created the script and uploaded it into GitHub so I can show you how to grab it. But first, this script is missing something. It needs to be executable. To execute a file, you go / and it doesn't see your script here because it doesn't see it as an executable. But if I manually type it all in and press enter, it tells me the file, my script.sh, is not executable by this user. To make it executable, you need to use chmod. Chmod will grant the user, you, the file execution permissions, X. So U to grant the user plus X for execution. I'm going to press enter, and then like before, I'm going to go / and automatically I can press tab to autocomplete my script because now it's an executable file. If I press enter, nothing happens, the file is empty. To add, I'm going to go into Vim again, and I'm going to press I for insert mode. Insert mode allows me to type, delete, basically insert your text. I am then going to drag over my browser for you and show you my Simply Kara blog GitHub page. This is a public GitHub repository that I created to store any of the scripts or code, right now mostly just shell scripts, as you can tell by the language down here, that I share on my blog. If you scroll down past blogging help, you can see how I shared a batch resize and compress images script, and also one that applies watermarks to your images. I figure anything I create for my blog, I'll share with you. Underneath is Remarkable. It then links to the 4 blog posts I made before: how to connect to your Remarkable via SSH, how to switch out your Remarkable sleep screen, how to make template files for your Remarkable, and my Remarkable updated. This is what I did next. Next, it mentions uploading a PNG image to the Remarkable and generating an accompanying JSON snippet. This is what we're doing here. Before you begin, as a quick aside, you may want to back up your Remarkable files. I have created a script that backs up using multiple ways I've seen people use online. I have never needed to restore my Remarkable. That said, I know I have the backup files if need be. If you want to use it, you can. If you want to back it up a different way, you can. I also mentioned backing up my Remarkable on, I think it was Learn How to Access Your Remarkable through the command line. So you can always refer to how to access your Remarkable through the command line, and then if you want, you can refer to the script to see if I do it in a different way, and you can do your own process. Just figured I'd mention, that way if something gets messed up, you can still hopefully recover. Anyway, for the uploading your PNG images, I have a quick description. And then I have the file itself. You don't need to input anything. The only thing that changes between users will have to manually change within the code on line 7. It then lists my assumptions. For one, each PNG, the Future Remarkable template file, needs to be in a single directory within the directory the program lives in. That's why I made the My Templates directory. And then it needs to be in another directory within that, which will become the templates category. So if you want to match one already on your Remarkable, you will need to name the directory the same name. If the image is in the same directory as the script, so if you put it in My Templates and not Customer 2021 in our case, the category will be assigned a period. This is because the script will see its location as period, because period means this directory. Also, your file names can't contain an extra period, as I use a period to remove the extension from the file name. Additionally, I haven't tested on the Remarkable to see how it works with a file with a period, so just a heads up, not sure. If you want to test it out and leave a comment, I would love to know. I'm not going to take the time to figure it out right now. I also wrote 2 blog posts that go over this script in more detail. I split it into 2 as best as I could because one would have been way too long. Anyway, I'm clicking Upload PNG and Directories to Remarkable. It opens my script. You can highlight it however you want with your mouse, but there's this handy dandy little button that copies the raw contents to your clipboard. Checkmark means it's done. We don't need this anymore. I then go into this, and we had already clicked I to show we can insert. So I'm going to go Command V and paste. I'm going to press Escape to leave the insert mode, :WQ to save and quit. Just to quickly say, if I went in here and changed random stuff and I want to save without quitting, I can go Escape, :no W, Q for quit. If you don't want them to ask you and you just want to quit without saving, exclamation. Just remember there's no auto saving. So if you wanted to save halfway through your script, you do just :W. So just remember that everything you did since you opened or last save won't be saved. Put Q exclamation. If you just want to have the terminal list your script without anything else, you can. Here, let's make this bigger for you. Or, like before, if you double click it, for me it opens in Xcode. You can get the color coding in Xcode. Or you can open with TextEdit or Notes or whatever you want. TextEdit will just be black. It doesn't have any code awareness. But here's the Xcode version. This script has comments all in gray, so you can kind of have it explained what it's doing. You can also use those 2 blog posts I mentioned to understand more. At the time I wrote this, I used a shortcut, so when I said SSH Remarkable, it would connect to my Remarkable. This line, line 7, declares a variable called SSH Remarkable, and that is how you want to connect. This will need to be changed to root at IP address. So I'm going to quickly show you how to find root at IP address. If you want to learn more about this, you can check out that first blog post. But basically, to find your username, which is root, your IP address, and your password, you'll need to go onto your Remarkable. At the top left, you'll click the menu, and at the very bottom, you'll see settings. The bottom underneath general on the left side, you'll see a question mark and help. Click that, and then it'll say about. You'll want that copyrights and licenses. You click on it and you scroll down, or I guess on my Remarkable now you don't need to scroll anymore. And at the bottom you'll see GPL v3 compliance. In the bottom 3 paragraphs, you will see your username, you'll see your password, and underneath it you'll see 2 IP addresses. You'll want the shorter one. You might want to copy this onto your computer. That way you don't need to actually look at your Remarkable to know your username and password, and you can easily copy and paste it without having to type it out. As a quick aside, let's go into this. I'm going to create a new tab on my terminal, and I'm going to go SSH root. Here, let's just delete. I was playing around with tarring earlier. I'm going to go SSH root at 192.168.1.114. This is how you connect to your Remarkable using SSH, a secured channel over an unsecured network connecting a client and server, in this case, you with your Remarkable. I'm going to stop right here and not press enter to go over several cases. If I press enter right now, it might ask me for my password. It won't in this case because I shared my public key with the Remarkable, so it sees that I'm authorized to go into the Remarkable and I don't have to remember my password. I'm not going to go into how to set it up right now. You can check on my SSH connection blog post. That said, my script assumes you did this. My script will not store your password, and I have never tried to run my script without this public key shared. So you may need to do that first. That said, if you run my script and it works or doesn't work without setting this public key, I would love to know. If you have never connected via SSH with your Remarkable, it's going to ask you to confirm to trust this new connection. If you say yes, it will connect for you and it will store this trust in the file in your .ssh directory /known host file. If your Remarkable updates or when it updates, if you connect via SSH again, it will give you a warning that looks really scary, but it's basically seeing that this trust has been changed and it's telling you which line it had added to the known host file, and you need to go in and delete that line, save the file. If you're opening that file in Vim, when you're not in insert mode, you can navigate to that line by colon. So in my case, if this was my warning right now, I'd open that file in Vim, go :3 to go to line 3, press D, and it will delete that line, and then I'll press :WQ to save. Then if I try to connect again, it won't have that line in the known host file, and it will ask me if I want to trust my source again. And then I'll keep going through that every time it updates. In this case, my Remarkable hasn't updated recently. I connected to it just yesterday, and I have my public key shared. So when I press enter, I'm automatically on my Remarkable. To go into the Remarkable templates directory, I go cd change directory, usr share Remarkable, and you can always press tab for it to autocomplete if that's the only thing with that name in that directory, and then templates. If I didn't have templates, it would take me to the Remarkable directory. That's a directory where all the screen images are stored, including the sleep screen image. The sleep screen image is called suspended.png. If you upload an image to that directory and name it suspended.png so it overwrites the previous image, that will be your sleep screen. Restart your Remarkable, the new sleep screen will show. If your sleep screen image is a different size than your Remarkable, it will just be squished to fit. Sometimes this works and looks better than the original image, sometimes it doesn't. And you can always upload one in landscape and just rotate your Remarkable if you want a landscape one showing. Same thing with portrait. I'm going to press enter and ls to list all the directories. I just remembered I still have my files from doing this before, so I'm just going to remove 2021 and remove custom and remove templates.backup. So this is all the ones that you have if you have not worked with custom templates before. As you can see, each file is listed twice. There's a PNG and an SVG file. PNG is a portable network graphic. It's a pixel-based image, which means it'll degrade if you're zooming into the image. An SVG image is a scalable vector graphic, meaning it's vector-based, thus it does not degrade and you can zoom in as much as you want. When I've been making custom templates, I've only been uploading PNG files and I haven't needed to upload SVG files. I haven't noticed a problem. That said, I've seen online that people hypothesize that the SVG file is used when exporting your notebook as a PDF. Like I said, I haven't had a difficulty. I haven't looked into if I should do both. That said, if you do upload an SVG to go with your PNG, it needs to be in the same directory as your PNG and name the same thing, the only difference being the extension, because they use the same file name to find both files. If you want to do a quick backup, you can say CP for copy, templates.json, and then let's call it backup _ templates.json. If for some reason you want a space, you can always do a /space. This slash is showing that it's a space in your file name and not a different word. It's still part of your file name. I've never actually tried to do that on the Remarkable. See? And then as you can see, if I cat that file, for instance, I'm not going to actually, but it adds a slash when you're auto-completing. I created this because then if anything happens, you have your backup templates file to compare your templates file with to see what might be wrong. Now that that's been shown, I'm just going to go back here Oh, also if you don't like how messy this is, you can type clear and press enter, and it looks like it wipes everything, but as you can see by the scroll bar, you just have to scroll up to see more. So going back to the script, you're going to have to replace this. Oh, I'm just going to add, if you want to leave your remarkable, you can just type exit. And with that, I'm going to copy my IP address and go over here. And you don't have to say SSH first. In fact, you shouldn't, because I say SSH below. This is just what comes after the space after the SSH. So in my case, it would be root at 192.168.1.114. And then I'm going to save the file, and I can even close it. If I did this through the terminal, of course, I'd go :WQ. And with that done, your script should be fine to go. So I'm going to go back to the first tab, and like before, I'm going to go /my script, and it's compressing the directories and files, and then it's uploading that compressed directory to the remarkable, and then in one line it executes SSH root at IP address, and then on that connection, it CDs, changes directory into your templates directory. It extracts that tarball it made on your computer, and then it removes that tarball. So if we go back into your remarkable and CD into USR, share, remarkable, template, and go LS, we will see that 2021 folder and the custom folder and the templates. If you want more information, you can go -LA. If you want all the information, including the subdirectories, you can go ls-R for recursion, and I'm still going to go LA. This way you can see all the information, including the 2021 directory and its contents and the custom directory. Right now, on my Mac, my user ID is 501. This is new, but I think when I compress the file and upload it, it sees me as a user ID that was on the Mac while I compressed the file. On the Linux Remarkable device, it associates that ID with dial-out instead of me, the user. If I SSH in and uncompress the file, it would be as root. I haven't noticed a problem with having a 501 dial-out. I've recently also noticed these / files. I think it has something to do with the Mac preview image. I'm not 100% sure. I'm going to go in and change how I compress all the files, so this won't be there. That said, I am recording this video now because I know editing will take a while, so I'm just going to go remove 2021 /**. It's going to remove all the files that start with __ in that directory. And then I'm going to go and do the same thing with custom. And then I'm going to go ls-R, LA again, and you will just see the files you want. As a quick note, I want to point out that the Remarkable doesn't put a whole lot of extra space in the templates directory. So if you want to add lots of custom templates, you may run out of room eventually. So you've uploaded your images. Our template.json file is still not edited, but our script generated the code snippet. As you can see here, each file had a template section created. It shows the name of the file by replacing the dashes with spaces. It shows the file name. It shows the icon code. It shows that it's a false landscape and it belongs to the 2021 category. When the script ended, this contents of the file was also placed on my clipboard, but just in case, I'm going to copy it. That said, if you don't lose that access to your clipboard, you don't even need to open this file. And if I ran the script again later, because I added another image or something, this would be regenerated. So over here, I'm going to go Vim. Oh, a quick aside. Over here, I'm going to edit in Vim, but first, I heard about another edit program called Nano that you might find easier to navigate in. So if you go Nano in the name, it will open the file in Nano. And at the bottom, you can see commands. So it's supposed to teach you how to use this. First thing I want to say, it says "X to exit." X does not have to be capitalized. It's just pressing the X button. And caret is not pressing caret, it's pressing Control. So in this case, if I wanted to exit, I'd press Control X. I have more experience in Vim, even though I'm by no means an expert. I forget how to navigate all the time. So I'm going to go into Vim templates.json. And then if I press GG really quick, I go to the top. Capital G goes to the very bottom. If I highlight this bracket, I can see it matches with the one above. And as I can see, there are two brackets at the bottom that need to be kept the same. I'm going to press insert, and that allows me to go past the bracket. And then I'm going to paste my new code. And then I'm going to press delete one more time for that empty space. And there we go. Escape WQ. I'm going to cat templates.json file for a second. Here, the categories, you can have multiple categories. So the square brackets mean categories is an array of strings. In this case, it just says custom. So the PNG files are uploaded, the template file has been saved, but the Remarkable still won't see the custom templates because it needs to be restarted so it reads the JSON file. So if you have done this before, a really handy command is Control R. It lets you search your previous commands, and I'm going to type XO and it's going to find it. I'm going to press an arrow to the right and it leaves the search. So basically, to restart your Remarkable, you'll have to run this command, systemctl space restart space XOCHITL. And you can't see anything happening, but right now my Remarkable is restarting and loading. And when it opens up, I can check to see if the templates are there. I'm going to quickly go to the top menu and only show my notebooks so it's easier to find. I'm going to click a notebook, and if I swipe through, I can see my templates are still there. If you go to a page and press layers and template, you can see all your templates, and at the top of mine, I now see all 2021 creative custom grids life organized, and the last one's hidden between the portrait radio button. So maybe I should not add two custom categories. If I go into 2021 or custom, all the templates I see listed have a line paper as their icon code, but the names let me tell them apart. If you see no templates when you go on, then you know there's something wrong with your JSON file, whether it's a mismatched bracket or something else. I know when I was playing with icon codes, if I had a double slash in the text, it wouldn't read the JSON file properly, and I'd have no templates. If you're having an issue and you can't see what your problem is, there are online JSON websites that let you check your file by copying and pasting your code into it, seeing if there's any problems, fixing it, and then pasting it back in. If your JSON had personal data in it, I wouldn't recommend it, but this is just all about your template. So I don't think you'll have a social security number or anything listed. And that's how I upload my templates now. Before I let you go, I just wanted to quickly go over what I mentioned before about Remarkable not officially supporting templates. This means if you go onto your computer or phone application and go into a notebook that uses one of your custom templates, it will still show your writing on that page, but instead of the template in the background, it's going to show a blank page with a message saying it can't be found. This has nothing to do with not having an SVG file. This is just a Remarkable not supporting it. I'm not sure what the behind the code way is, but that's how it works. The other issue is the Remarkable updates. When the Remarkable is updated, it reverts any sleep screen images or any screen images to their original one. It also removes any of your custom templates in your templates directory and reverts your JSON script. This means after an update, if you go into your templates, you will no longer see your custom templates. This is why I keep two versions of this folder around. Whether I delete this or not, that's basically an empty directory that just has my script. That way, if I want to add one more file to 2021 or one more template to custom, I can just create the custom or the 2021 folder, add the PNG, and just upload that one and add that one's template code to my templates.json. I then keep one like this around, so if my Remarkable updates, I don't have to go hunting for any of my calendar pages or for any of my custom templates, and I can just run my script. Then I have my JSON snippet on my clipboard, and I repeat these steps to add it to my templates.json file, and I restart my Remarkable, and it's back working. Because I have not changed any of the category or directory names, and I haven't changed any of these file names, it automatically hooks up to my notebook once I restart. If I, for example, changed this Kids About Me title before I ran it after the update, it would have a new name, it would have a new file name, and the Remarkable wouldn't see that template as the same as the old version, and I would have to manually reconnect it on every page I used it on. This makes it way simpler than it was before, manually having to figure out the JSON or keeping your manually created JSON snippet on hand. With my script, I can just delete this, and it doesn't matter because I can just run my script again. Also, you don't have to worry if you're rerunning it because these files, if they get put on your Remarkable again, it'll just overwrite the old version, or it won't even overwrite. I can't remember, but you won't have two copies of it. I've seen some people on Facebook who like to turn off their automatic updates so that they know when the update will happen because they are manually going in and checking for updates and they won't be surprised on the fly or when they're out and about and they don't have their computer with them. I have not turned off my manual update because I figure I can just rerun my script when it updates. That said, if I am out and about or something and I don't want to run the script right away, but there's one of the pages I really want access to, I can quickly just manually change the template on that page to a blank page or a line page or one of the default pages, and I will be able to see my writing and I can estimate based on my writing where I should write the next thing. Say if it's a weekly template and that's where the next days is, or I'm writing in my calendar, so just right next to the text before. And then later when I run these templates and fix a template, I can manually change that page back and then just move around the text so it makes sense. That said, when there is an update, the Remarkable used to be like when you were in the app, you used to still be able to see your writing. Since the last update, I've noticed that when you open a notebook and the page flickers, you can see your old template with the writing, but as soon as it loads fully, you just see a blank page with the message and your writing's not visible. Then if you navigate within the notebook, you don't even see that flicker. Hence why if you want to see your writing, you need to switch back to a default template. I think that's all the information I have to share with you today. If you want to see more, I will create a blog post with all these closed captionings so that you can navigate to that if you just want to scroll through specific sections. I will also link all my previous blog posts if you want any of this stuff in more detail. And comment if you have anything you want to share about your process. Have a great day.